Your advisor is hiding fees from you. That annuity is going to eat your savings alive with fees. If you spent any time researching retirement income online, you've probably heard some version of those lines. And here's the uncomfortable truth: both sides of this industry use fear to sell. Some people scare you about annuities to sell you investments, and some people scare you about investment fees to sell you annuities. I'm not here to do either. I'm going to walk you through what fees actually exist in retirement accounts and in fixed index annuities, where they come from, and how to tell whether a fee is reasonable or not. No scare tactics, no sales pitch, just the numbers, explained simply. Fees hit differently when we're talking about retirement money, and I understand why. This isn't a hypothetical number on a spreadsheet. This is the money you spent 30 or 40 years building. So when someone tells you that you might be losing part of it to a fee you didn't fully understand, that lands hard. And unfortunately, a lot of people in this industry know that, and they use it. If a fee only advisor wants you to move away from annuities, the easiest tool is to make every annuity fee sound hidden and predatory. If an annuity only agent wants to move you away from the market, the easiest tool is to make every advisory fee and fund expense sound like it's silently draining your account. Here's the reframe I want you to walk away with today. The right question was never, are there fees? There are almost always fees somewhere in every type of product. The right question is, what am I getting in exchange for this fee? And is that a fair trade for what I need my money to do? Keep that question in your back pocket. We're going to use it throughout this video. Let's start with the accounts most people are already familiar with: brokerage accounts, IRAs, and 401ks invested in mutual funds or ETFs. The first fee is the expense ratio. This is a percentage of the fund company charges every year to manage the fund, and it comes out automatically. You never see a bill for it, but it's there. The second is the advisory fee, sometimes called an AUM fee, which stands for Assets Under Management. If you work with a financial advisor who manages your portfolio, they often charge a percentage of your total account value each year, regardless of whether the market goes up or down that year. The third is less visible: trading costs and turnover inside the fund itself, which can quietly add to your total cost, even though there's no line item for it on your statement. Let me give you an example. I have a client I'll call David. David came to me confident he was paying about 1% for his managed account. When we actually added up his advisory fee and the underlying fund expense ratios together, his real total cost was closer to 2.25% a year. That's not because anyone lied to him. It's because those two numbers live on two different documents, and almost nobody adds them together for you. To be clear, none of this makes those fees wrong or bad. Advisory fees and fund expenses are legal, disclosed, and for a lot of people, absolutely worth paying for professional management. The problem isn't that the fees exist. The problem is that most people never see the real total number. Now, let's talk about fixed index annuities, because this is where I hear the most fear and honestly the most misinformation. Here's the biggest misconception I run into. People assume every annuity has some hidden annual fee eating away at their account value every year, the same way a mutual fund does. For the base fixed index annuity contract, meaning the contract without any optional add-ons, that is typically not how it works. So, how does the insurance company make money if there's no annual fee coming out of your account? Through the way interest is credited. Fixed index annuities credit interest based on the performance of a market index, but that credited interest is limited by things like a cap a participation rate, or a spread. In plain terms, the insurance company is essentially saying, we'll share in some of the upside of the index with you, and in exchange, we absorb all of the downside risk for you. That trade off is built into the crediting method itself, not charged as a separate visible fee. I want to be clear about something else because this gets confused constantly. A variable annuity is a completely different product. Variable annuities often do carry visible annual charges. Things like mortality and expense charges, underlying fund fees, and rider charges because your money is actually invested in the market and can lose value. A fixed index annuity does not work that way. Lumping the two together is one of the most common sources of fee confusion I see online. Now, there are optional fees on fixed index annuities, and I want to walk through those too. These are riders, things like an income rider that guarantees lifetime income, an enhanced death benefit rider, or a long term care or chronic illness rider. These are elective. You choose whether to add them. They are disclosed in the contract, and they're typically charged as a small annual percentage, often somewhere in the range of 0.5% to around 1%, depending on the carrier and the rider. Let me give you an example. I have a client I'll call Carol. Carol had heard from a friend that her annuity had a hidden 2% fee buried somewhere in the fine print. When we went through her actual contract together, there was no fee at all on her base contract. The only fee she had was the income rider she had chosen to add on purpose with full knowledge because she wanted a guaranteed paycheck she could never outlive. The fee wasn't hidden. It was a cost she chose in exchange for a specific benefit she wanted. So, how do you personally evaluate whether any fee in any product is worth paying? I want to give you 3 questions you can ask about literally any fee you ever come across, whether it's a mutual fund, a brokerage account, or an annuity. Question 1: what exactly does this fee pay for? Is it paying for active management, guaranteed income, principal protection, or a death benefit? If nobody can answer that clearly, that's worth noting. Question 2: what happens to my money if I never pay this fee? Sometimes that means missing out on a guarantee. Sometimes it means keeping more of your growth. There's always a trade off in both directions. Question 3: is there a comparable option with a different fee structure that might fit my goals better? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the fee you're already paying is genuinely the most efficient way to get what you want. Here's the key mindset shift: no fee is not automatically the best option, and has a fee is not automatically the worst option. It depends entirely on what problem you're trying to solve. If your goal is growth and you're comfortable with market risk, a lower fee investment account might make sense. If your goal is guaranteed income you can never outlive, a rider fee on an annuity might be the most efficient way to buy that guarantee. Neither one is universally right or wrong. Now, I do want to tell you there are real red flags in this industry, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't mention them. Red flag 1: a fee that is not disclosed to you in writing anywhere in your contract or statements. Red flag 2: an advisor or agent who cannot explain in plain language exactly what a fee is paying for. If they can't explain it simply, that's worth pausing on. Let the advisor find out the answer and explain it to you before moving forward. Red flag 3: pressure to sign or commit before you've had a real chance to sit down and read through the actual disclosure documents. None of this is about being afraid of fees. It's about being fee literate, so you can spot the difference between a fair trade and a bad one. Here's what I want you to take away from today. Fees exist in every corner of retirement planning, in mutual funds, in advisory relationships, and in annuities. The goal was never to fear fees. The goal is to understand them well enough to know exactly what you're paying and exactly what you're getting in return. If you want to learn more, check out the free booklet called Retire Smart. It's linked on the page in the description box. And if you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because we cover exactly these kinds of retirement decisions every week. This is Retirement Security Simplified, where we specialize in turning confusion into confidence, one conversation at a time.